things off. 8 weeks on from Good Friday at Saluka for feet.
What's up, Makena Fam? Welcome back to the channel, your one-stop shop for all things NRL. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on our weekly NRL insights, tips, and predictions. We're here to help you dominate your tipping comps and impress your mates with your rugby league knowledge. All right, team, we've just wrapped up a wild round 21, and let me tell you, it was a mixed bag. But before we dive into the juicy predictions for round 22, let's do a quick recap. Because you know hindsight is 20/20, and we always learn from our past. First up, the Bulldogs. Wow, they absolutely dismantled the Manly Sea Eagles with a massive 42-4 win. Not only was it a dominant display of footy, but they hit their 1,000th first-grade win, an incredible milestone. They are seriously flexing their muscles and looking like genuine premiership threats. Then we saw the Canberra Raiders continue their incredible surge, taking down the Newcastle Knights 44-18. 9 wins in a row for the Green Machine. Jamal Fogarty's kicking game was on point, and their attack is just purring. They are the benchmark right now, sitting pretty at the top of the ladder. The Melbourne Storm managed to get over the Sydney Roosters in a high-scoring 34-30 affair. A testament to the Storm's resilience. But the big news coming out of that game was the dislocated shoulder to star halfback Jerome Hughes. Massive blow for Craig Bellamy's men, but they've got depth. And talk about an upset. The Gold Coast Titans, under Des Hasler, pulled off a stunning victory over the New Zealand Warriors at home. The Warriors, who are typically so strong at MetSmart, just couldn't contain them. What a way to celebrate Des Hasler's 500th game as a coach. The Parramatta Eels surprised many, including me, with a gritty 22-20 win over the Brisbane Broncos at Suncorp. Zach Lomax was fantastic for the Eels. Penrith, no surprises here, absolutely annihilated the West Tigers 36-2, showcasing why they are the reigning premiers. The Cronulla Sharks grabbed a tight 14-12 victory against the struggling South Sydney Rabbitohs, and the North Queensland Cowboys put on a show in their 38-32 win over the Dragons. So how did we go with our tips, Makena Fam? Drum roll, please. Out of the 8 games, we nailed 5 correct predictions. That's a solid 70% accuracy rate. Not bad at all. We called the Bulldogs, Raiders, Storm, Panthers, and Sharks wins correctly. The Titans upset the Warriors, Eels stunned the Broncos, Cowboys stunned Dragons. Those were the 3 that got away from us. But hey, that's footy, right? We learn, we adapt, and we come back stronger. All right, let's turn our attention to round 22, 2025. This is where the ladder starts to really take shape, and every game becomes crucial. I've done a deep dive into team form, injury lists, head-to-head records, and even scoured the betting markets to give you the most accurate predictions possible. You guys depend on me, and I won't let you down. Kicking us off on Thursday night, it's the Parramatta Eels taking on the Melbourne Storm at CommBank Stadium. Now, the Storm have just lost Hughes, which is massive, but they still have Pappenhausen back and a strong roster. The Eels, while they had a good win against the Broncos, are still inconsistent. I'm backing the Melbourne Storm to win this one. I think they'll win by a margin of 10 to 16 points, and I'm putting a 65% confidence on that winning margin for the Storm. Next up, we head across the ditch for the New Zealand Warriors hosting the Dolphins. The Warriors will be fired up after that unexpected loss to the Titans. They're a top 4 team for a reason, and their home crowd at MetSmart is a huge advantage. The Dolphins are impressive, but I think the Warriors' consistency will shine through. My tip is the New Zealand Warriors to win by a margin of 1 to 8 points. That's a 55% confidence on that narrow victory. Saturday afternoon sees the Brisbane Broncos facing the South Sydney Rabbitohs at Suncorp. This is looking like a tough one for the Bunnies. They're really struggling with injuries. Key players like Waiton and Totola are out. The Broncos will be hungry for a win after their Eels loss, and at home, they are a different beast. I'm confidently tipping the Brisbane Broncos to win by a margin of 18-plus points. I've got a 70% confidence on them blowing out the Rabbitohs here. Then we have the Gold Coast Titans welcoming the red-hot Penrith Panthers. The Panthers are on a 7-game winning streak and are looking ominous. While the Titans had that great win last week, this is a different caliber of opponent. Penrith's professionalism and class will be too much. I'm tipping the Penrith Panthers to win by a margin of 12 to 20 points, with a 60% confidence on that range. In the Saturday night clash, it's the Saints, George Illawarra Dragons against the ladder leaders, the Canberra Raiders. The Raiders are on fire, 9 wins in a row, and playing with incredible confidence. The Dragons have shown glimpses of good footy, but they lack the consistency of the Raiders. I'm tipping the Canberra Raiders to win this one by a margin of 8 to 14 points, and I'm giving that a 68% confidence. They are just too strong right now. Sunday afternoon brings us a classic Sydney derby, the Manly Sea Eagles versus the Sydney Roosters. This is a tricky one. Manly had a shocker last week, while the Roosters pushed the storm. Manly also have a Lakawatu out, which is a huge loss. The Roosters will be desperate for a win to keep their top 8 hopes alive. I'm leaning towards the Sydney Roosters to win this in a tight one, by a margin of 1 to 6 points. It's a close call, but I'll put a 52% confidence on that narrow Roosters victory. The second Sunday game sees the West Tigers take on the informed Canterbury Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are absolutely flying, coming off a massive win and playing with incredible belief. They are pushing for the minor premiership. The Tigers, unfortunately for their fans, are still finding their way. I'm tipping the Canterbury Bulldogs to win by a margin of 14+ points. I'm giving that a 75% confidence. They are just too good right now. And finally, to wrap up the round, it's the Cronulla Sharks against the North Queensland Cowboys. The Sharks are holding their own in the top 8 and playing solid footy at home. The Cowboys had a good win last week, but they are still battling some injuries to key forwards. I think the Sharks at home will be too consistent. My tip is the Cronulla Sharks to win by a margin of 6 to 12 points, with a 63% confidence on that outcome. And don't forget, the Newcastle Knights have the bye this round, a much-needed rest for them after a tough few weeks. So there you have it, Makena Fam, my deep dive into NRL Round 22, 2025. Remember, these are my best predictions based on all the information available. Footy is unpredictable, but we do our best to give you the edge. If you found these tips helpful, smash that like button, leave a comment below with your own predictions, and share this video with your mates. Let's get these wins. Until next time, stay awesome, and let's go the footy.